Tonight, the families of Emerson, Augustus, Wilson, Prasad and Langlet, all of them fishermen from Tamil Nadu, will sleep well. Till this morning, all five were on the death row in Sri Lanka, but now President Mahinda Rajapaksa has granted them clemency. So, is this a big victory for Narendra Modi's diplomacy? That's on the news tonight, but up first as always, the headlines. It's a major diplomatic coup for the NDA government. Sri Lanka releases the 5 Indian fishermen who were on the death row after an intervention by President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Big development back home. Controversial godman Sant Rampal is finally arrested amid high drama in Hisar. 6 people died in sporadic clashes between his supporters and the police. He will be produced in court Friday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi returns home after a high-impact visit to Australia, Myanmar and Fiji. On his last day, he addresses the Fijian Parliament. The government releases draft guidelines for the e-auction of 74 coal blocks out of more than 200 that were cancelled recently by the Supreme Court. There is worldwide condemnation of the synagogue attack in Jerusalem, from Obama to the Pope. Condemnation and a call for peace. We'll get to the fisherman story in just a moment, but there's been a big development in Hisar, Haryana, where self-styled godman Sant Rampal has been arrested by the police. He's been taken to Chandigarh, where he will undergo medical tests. He was whisked away in an ambulance, which was followed by a number of police vehicles. The SP of Panipat has said that Rampal will be produced in court Thursday. Earlier in the day, sedition charges were slapped against the man. The cops arrested Rampal's close aide, Purushottam Das, as well. At least 6 people, and that includes an 18-month-old baby, have been killed in the clashes that broke out since yesterday. Let's talk about a story that's developed thousands of kilometers away from Delhi. It's a story that was in the news for the last few weeks, but now there's some reprieve. 5 Indian fishermen who were sentenced to death in Sri Lanka for the alleged drug trafficking charge have now been released. This after Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa commuted their death penalty. The BJP is claiming this as a victory for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his neighbourhood diplomacy.
Frantic diplomatic negotiations and a presidential pardon later, the 5 Indian fishermen who were on death row in Sri Lanka have been released. The 5 will also not be required to serve their sentence in India. The Indian High Commission in Colombo is in the process of working out the exact modalities of their release.
Reports that we are hearing about the release of fishermen are extremely heartwarming. Honorable Prime Minister Sri Modi ji has spoken to the President of Sri Lanka some time ago. The government authorities and the Ministry of External Affairs also have offered to give all kinds of possible help to the fishermen.
The move comes less than a week before the SAARC summit in Nepal. Sri Lankan President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will both be attending this summit. The 5 fishermen, all hailing from Tamil Nadu, were apprehended in 2011 and sentenced to death by the Colombo High Court on October 30th for alleged drug trafficking. The pardon is being claimed as a big diplomatic victory for India.
Ever since Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has become the Prime Minister of India, one can clearly see that India's voice is taken with respect and heard. And there is a marked change in our diplomatic focus and diplomatic impact.
Now that they are released and the efforts taken by the present Prime Minister, our leader had already congratulated him, thanked him for his efforts. And now we are happy that our Indian fishermen are released.
The Colombo court's ruling had triggered fiery protests in parts of Tamil Nadu, and sporadic violence was also reported. India had filed an appeal in the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka against the verdict on November 11th. Rajapaksa and Modi had a telephonic conversation last week on the issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Or at least one thing's certain now, the conversation between Mr. Modi and Mr. Rajapaksa when they meet in Kathmandu for the SAARC summit next week will not be all that awkward. Meanwhile, let's talk about the man of the moment, Narendra Modi. He's finished a 10-day diplomatic blitzkrieg across Myanmar, Australia, the final stop being Fiji, where he's announced a $75 million line of credit expanding defense and security cooperation, as well as this, and this has become a bit of a pet theme for him, visas on arrival for Fijians. These were some of the broad themes that he painted in the final country of his 10-day tour, that was Fiji. The broad outcome of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit in this 10-day diplomatic blitzkrieg.
Seeking stronger engagement with the Pacific Islands, India has announced a $75 million line of credit for Fiji for a cogeneration power plant and upgrading the sugar industry there. India has also promised a $5 million fund to develop Fiji's villages, even as the two countries agreed to expand their defense and security cooperation.
We agreed to consult more closely on international issues of mutual interests, including international trade, climate change, United Nations peacekeeping, and UN reforms.
We are pleased that our relationship with India is growing, and we are proud to have India as a partner in Fiji's future.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also announced visa on arrival for Fijians. India will also assist Fiji in developing a parliament library and doubling the scholarships and training slots in India for people from Fiji.
We signed 3 memorandum of understanding on the exchange of land for a new chancery building in New Delhi, on diplomatic exchanges that will allow Fiji's diplomats to train at the Indian government's Foreign Service Institute, and on project financing for an electricity cogeneration plant funded through the Exim Bank of India.
Prime Minister Modi also met leaders of other Pacific nations in Fiji, calling the meeting the beginning of a new era. Later, the Prime Minister addressed the Fijian Parliament. In his address, Modi said India would support Fiji in strengthening industries and creating employment opportunities for the youth.
Fiji adjusts to the changing global markets. India is prepared to be your partner in making your existing industry stronger and finding new opportunities for youth.
Earlier, Prime Minister Modi arrived in Fiji at the crack of dawn on the third and final leg of his 10-day, 3-nation tour. This is the first visit by an Indian premier to the country in 33 years after Indira Gandhi in 1981. He was also given a ceremonial reception. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Did you know that 37% of Fiji's population speak a variant of Hindi? They call it Fiji Hindi. Things back home, and the Coal Ministry has today issued a draft coal mine special provisions rules for the e-auction of 74 blocks. Now, these rules will be placed in the public domain for suggestions until the 24th of this month. Now, this draft, our viewers will remember, coming just weeks after the Supreme Court cancelled the allocation of more than 200 coal blocks.
New rules and regulations for coal block allocations are expected to be notified by next week. With the Coal Ministry drafting guidelines for allocations, the first phase of auctions could happen as early as February 2015. To ensure transparency, qualified bidders would be asked to put in their financial bids under an electronic auctioning process. The bidding would be open to specified end-use projects in power, steel, iron and cement sectors. In an attempt to avoid monopoly, a cap would be put on the number of blocks a company can bid for.
We are also making an effort to ensure that the blocks are not monopolized by one entity, that they take all the blocks. So the nominated authority will arrive at a particular number. He hasn't arrived as yet, but that work is on.
The biddings will have to be furnished by December 19, and technical process of allotment is expected to be completed by March 3, 2015. Expected aggressive bidding could heighten acquisition costs. The government will take measures to limit the tariff upsurge.
Revenue maximizing approach, it is essential to keep a lid on the tariff. यानी कि जो भी bidding होगी, उसको हम उसमें essentiality ही रहेगी कि वो उसको pass through ना करें for increasing the tariff.
The Supreme Court had in September cancelled 214 coal blocks allocated since 1993, saying they had been given out in an arbitrary manner. The government moved an ordinance late in October, enabling auctions of some of these blocks. Now, the government proposes to complete the entire process by March 31st, 2015. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
And in a related story, the Mines and Minerals Development and Regulation Amendment Bill is likely to be tabled during the upcoming session of Parliament. The bill seeks to amend the 57-year-old MMDR Act to try and strengthen the sector, which has been hit by illegalities in several states. The proposed bill seeks to have a transparent and an efficient system of allocation of leases. It will also propose greater decentralization of power. The bill envisages a competitive bidding process and to empower states to tackle the issue of illegal mining. The bill also has a provision to enable state governments to set up special courts for the trial of offences.
MMDR एक्ट के अमेंडमेंट की दृष्टि से सरकार गंभीरता से विचार कर रही है और हम लोग उसकी तैयारी में लगे हुए हैं. जहां अमेंडमेंट की आवश्यकता है वो हम लेकर आएंगे.
Time has come that we should move forward like any other developed world where mining is an open industry. We have been doing our mining in a very closed manner. Illegal mining issues have been coming up, forest clearances, environmental clearances, all those issues have been coming up.
Talking about illegalities, in a setback for former Maharashtra Chief Minister Ashok Chavan, the Bombay High Court today rejected the CBI's petition asking that his name be dropped as an accused in the Adarsh scam. The bench did stay, though, the implementation of his order for 4 weeks to allow the investigative agency to file an appeal against the judgment. The CBI had filed an application seeking permission to delete Chavan's name as an accused from the charge sheet. Chavan was among the 13 people charge sheeted by the CBI in the Adarsh scam back in July of 2012. Chavan, in fact, had to step down as chief minister after the scam came to light back in 2010.
CBI certain officers in Delhi office and the then governor of Maharashtra had done some monetary transactions with Ashok, which are part of my PIL, which was being heard by Bombay High Court. In the meantime, to scuttle that PIL, CBI's elements came to High Court and filed his application, which has been rejected. So now, it has been a clear-cut law that hereafter, no agency, police or CBI will ever require sanction to prosecute any accused.
Yesterday on the news tonight, we told you that a man was detained at the Delhi airport with suspected Ebola. Today, the centre has assured that there is no need to panic, at least not just yet. The Health Ministry has stepped up efforts to prevent Ebola spreading here in the country. The man detained in Delhi was treated for Ebola in Liberia, and he carried a certificate from the authorities there that he was cured of the virus. Health Minister J.P. Nadda said that the detection of the virus was a result of extra caution shown by some government officials at the airport. He said that arrangements have been made to detect the virus at 24 major airports across the country. The ministry has also initiated the process of upgrading the isolation centres at some of these airports.
इसमें पैनिक करने की जरूरत नहीं है, घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है. यह कोई ऐसा केस नहीं है जो बाई चांस आया. Every case is being detected, and when it is detected, proper action will be taken. सभी जगह एयरपोर्ट्स पर 24 एयरपोर्ट्स पर आइसोलेशन सेंटर्स हैं. क्वारंटाइन किया जा रहा है, चेकिंग की जा रही है. डॉक्टर्स को उसके लिए प्रिपेयर्डनेस पूरी की गई है और हर एक स्टेट में भी इसके दृष्टि से जो डॉक्टर्स हैं जो इसको डील करेंगे उनको ट्रेनिंग दी गई है.
All right, more news from across the country and nationwide. A man armed with an AK-47 tried to kidnap a top farmer executive in Hyderabad this morning. The incident took place at the high-profile Banjara Hills area. K. Nityanand Reddy, the vice chairman of Aurobindo Pharma, was fired upon by the attacker in a bid to abduct him. He later escaped the scene after a failed attempt. Reddy, though, was completely unharmed in the entire episode. An aircraft on a training sortie crashed in Indore, leaving 2 persons seriously injured. According to eyewitnesses, the Cessna 152 trainer aircraft belonged to a local flying club. It crashed very close to the boundary of the aerodrome. The 2 occupants were rushed to a nearby hospital. One of them is said to be in a critical condition. Within a month of its Mars orbiter mission's huge success, ISRO was today conferred the Indira Gandhi Prize for Peace. The prize is in recognition of ISRO's contribution to strengthen international cooperation in the peaceful use of outer space. Chaired by Vice President Muhammad Hamid Ansari, the jury recognized ISRO for its path-breaking achievement. We're going to take a break here in the program. When we come back, all the international stories, including a United Nations committee today recommended referring North Korea to the International Criminal Court for its human rights record. But here's the catch. Nothing substantial is expected to come of it. That story and all the other stories from across the globe on the News Tonight returns. Welcome back. This is News Tonight. Time now for some sports stories. Well, it's a race against time for Vishwanathan Anand to try and make a comeback in the World Chess Championship. 4 more encounters left. Anand will have to pick up his game at least by a couple of notches to overcome Magnus Carlsen's challenge. Carlsen still leads that race. He's got a lead of 1 point over Anand. Both players have 2 games left where they will play white, which of course is an advantage. After drawing Game 8 on Tuesday, both the Grandmasters will take on each other in Game 9. That's going to happen tomorrow. Anand has already won 5 world titles. The last time he defeated this prodigy from Norway, Magnus Carlsen, was back in 2010.
I was not in the best of shape at the start, but felt that I managed to be fresher as the game progressed. As the match goes on, the rest days become more and more about exactly that, rest.
All right, more sports news and Sports Beat. Portugal beat Argentina 1-0 in a friendly at Old Trafford. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, both the talisman players for their respective sides, failed to make a mark on the game. Argentina dominated the first half, but they failed to break the deadlock. Both Messi and Ronaldo, get this, were substituted at half-time. And then in the second half, substitute Rafael Guerreiro scored the only goal in the game, that too in stoppage time. In another friendly, world champions Germany defeated Spain 1-0. German midfielder Toni Kroos scored the solitary goal, and that was in the 89th minute. Germany had lost all 3 previous encounters against Spain, including the Euro 2008 final, the 2010 World Cup semi-final. This was the first home defeat for Spain's manager Vicente Del Bosque. The official mascot for the 2016 Euro finals was unveiled in Marseille before France's friendly match against Sweden. The mascot, which is still to be named, will be personified by a young boy wearing the national colours of the host country. His name will be revealed on the 30th of November. Looks like a cute little mascot, that one. That's for the Euro 2016. That's a wrap of the News Tonight, this Wednesday edition. From me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team. We'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night. Welcome back. This is News Tonight. Time now for some sports stories. Well, it's a race against time for Vishwanathan Anand to try and make a comeback in the World Chess Championship. 4 more encounters left. Anand will have to pick up his game at least by a couple of notches to overcome Magnus Carlsen's challenge. Carlsen still leads that race. He's got a lead of 1 point over Anand. Both players have 2 games left where they will play white, which of course is an advantage. After drawing Game 8 on Tuesday, both the Grandmasters will take on each other in Game 9. That's going to happen tomorrow. Anand has already won 5 world titles. The last time he defeated this prodigy from Norway, Magnus Carlsen, was back in 2010.
I was not in the best of shape at the start, but felt that I managed to be fresher as the game progressed. As the match goes on, the rest days become more and more about exactly that, rest.
All right, more sports news and Sports Beat. Portugal beat Argentina 1-0 in a friendly at Old Trafford. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, both the talisman players for their respective sides, failed to make a mark on the game. Argentina dominated the first half, but they failed to break the deadlock. Both Messi and Ronaldo, get this, were substituted at half-time. And then in the second half, substitute Rafael Guerreiro scored the only goal in the game, that too in stoppage time. In another friendly, world champions Germany defeated Spain 1-0. German midfielder Toni Kroos scored the solitary goal, and that was in the 89th minute. Germany had lost all 3 previous encounters against Spain, including the Euro 2008 final, the 2010 World Cup semi-final. This was the first home defeat for Spain's manager Vicente Del Bosque. The official mascot for the 2016 Euro finals was unveiled in Marseille before France's friendly match against Sweden. The mascot, which is still to be named, will be personified by a young boy wearing the national colours of the host country. His name will be revealed on the 30th of November. Looks like a cute little mascot, that one. That's for the Euro 2016. That's a wrap of the News Tonight, this Wednesday edition. From me, Zaka Jacob, and the rest of the team. We'll catch you again tomorrow night, same time. Good night.